payload, and towing numbers. With available Pro Power on board, you can turn these Ford trucks into mobile generators to give your tailgate party an extra boost of energy. Visit your Carolina Ford dealer or buyfordnow.com for great offers and to learn more about F-150 and Super Duty. See Owner's Manual for important operating instructions.
HIV is not a crime, or it shouldn't be.
It's time for the laws to catch up to science.
Join the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation to modernize outdated HIV criminalization laws. Go to etaf.org. Campaign funded through the support of Gilead Sciences, Incorporated.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Workers' comp can be tricky, but my law firm will be on top of all the complicated paperwork and sneaky deadlines so that all of your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. If you've been hurt on the job, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
Forsling bouncing, now it comes out in front, holding, shoot, he scores! Seth Jarvis with the turnover, and Carolina has tied it at 3. Oh, what a big goal, Seth Jarvis.
This line that has been extraordinarily good, ever hound the puck to even create the turnover for Jarvis to have a chance in the interior. Forsling, hounded by Svechnikov. Great pinch along the wall. I believe it was Gostisbehere. So because of that, it works its way to the middle. What a pinch by Gostisbehere. And then a stick from Svechnikov to swipe into Jarvis, who lofts it home on the blocker side.
And this building has gone bananas.
Oh, happier times. Happier times. It is the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria's here.
Feels like we were just there. Because we were. Woo!
10 hours ago. 10 hours ago, I shut down the podcast.
Right.
Seriously. I'm sorry. I walked out of there. Maybe a little bit less. I shut down the podcast at 1, I believe. So we normally I do about 30 minutes post-game pod. This one ran, I believe, closer to almost 50. There were a lot of thoughts about last night's game, about the series, and I really stayed away from looking at the bigger picture in terms of the season as a whole, in terms of where everybody where everybody slots going forward, what they can do to change it. I mean, there were brief mentions of those things, but I didn't dig into any details. Otherwise, I would have been there until now.
Yeah, still be there.
Because I just put on Twitter, and we're going to do, again, it's really, whether it's a good idea or not. We're going to take phone calls again. Mm-hmm. We have done this before. 919-860-5326. We're going to go through some other things first. We're going to let you hear from the head coach, Brind'Amour, from the podium last night for people who haven't heard it. And I was fascinated by a bunch of things. We'll also go in the locker room as well. Tripp Tracy will join us, and Cory Lavalette from The Athletic and North State Journal will join us as well. But the Hurricanes fell to the Florida Panthers in 5 games. Hey, better than 4 games.
Yeah. Didn't get swept.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said to a friend. Didn't get swept. And he went, yeah, you're right. That's probably, that is a step forward. I said to Greg Wyshynski from ESPN, who was, for some reason, on our side of press row.
I know.
We are we're the stepchild side of press row. I said to him, first of all, how'd you get here? He goes, it's where they put me. I'm like, oh, it's very nice to have you. I said, as I left to go do the post-game show and then the podcast, I said, we'll see you back here for the conference finals next year. I promise you it goes at least 6 games.
Yeah, there you go. Just add one more to it.
Steps.
But see, Greg, he didn't even think the Canes were going to make it to the playoffs. He
at the
was
beginning
one of
of the
those that
year.
predicted, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, it wasn't most people or everyone. There were clearly some people that didn't think Carolina would make the playoffs because based on what walked out the door last year, and we could really just start with the two guys on the blue line. Mm-hmm. We don't have to go anywhere else. We can just start with those two guys. And this is no disrespect, and I know there were probably some people who took what Rod said, and you'll hear it in the press conference, about what he said about, look, we lost. He didn't mention any names, and he said, well, what we replaced those guys who departed with, well, they're not as good. Well, it's true. But that doesn't mean that it's an insult to the players that they brought in as, in some ways, replacements for those who went out. But I don't believe that just on the blue line, Shane Gostisbehere and Sean Walker really were replacements for Brady Shea and Brett Pesce. If you were going to try and replace Brady Shea and Brett Pesce, I would have done it with Brady Shea and Brett Pesce.
Mm-hmm. But
they couldn't do that financially. Couldn't possibly do all of the things that everybody wanted them to do. It wasn't going to make sense. They physically couldn't have done it. So ultimately, Chatfield and Orloff were elevated to a second pair. That was Carolina's third pair last year. And you miss one of the best shutdown pairings in the entire NHL. And that had a big impact on their season. At least theoretically, going into the season, it would have a big impact. So I have no problem with anybody who thought Carolina would miss the playoffs.
No.
Because it was easy to look at the roster and go, yeah, I'm not sure they're going to make the playoffs.
Rod thought that too.
Well, he did initially, and then that was before they started to add players. I just think it's important to put that in proper context. I said from the beginning of the season, I'm not worried. They're a playoff team. Are they as good as last year? No, but they are a playoff team. And I said to people during the year, I think if Carolina wins a round in the playoffs, I think that will be a good season. Not a great season, but I think that is a good season. If they were to win a playoff round, and they did more than that, they got to the conference finals. And what they did, and maybe it's because you reach the conference finals, but what they did by getting to that point was they made people forget that it wasn't ever a team that really was a true Stanley Cup contender. I said, even as they were playing better in the second half, once all the ranting and stuff shook out, I called them a second-tier Stanley Cup contender. Not that they couldn't reach it. Yes, I know Florida is a machine, and Carolina lost the series. They were probably fortunate to get a game. But there was no guarantee that Florida was going to get here, given who they had to go through to do it. Beating Tampa and beating Toronto, those were not easy wins. Toronto ended up going 7. Tampa ended up just being awful, and Florida had a lot to do with that. But Tampa wasn't any good. And, I mean, heck, the Hurricanes could have played the Lightning this past round. They could have played the Leafs. That series went to a game 7 in Toronto, which, frankly, is the opposite of a home ice advantage. But it could have been either of those two teams and not Florida. And I would have given Carolina a significantly better chance against either of those teams than the Panthers. We don't have, well, we'll get into the reasons why. But anyway, my point is that they could have made the finals. Heck, I could draw a scenario where Carolina maybe wins game 1 and wins and is in a much better spot in this series. I could certainly paint a scenario where they win game 3, even though they rolled over in the third period eventually. It wasn't at the beginning of the third period, but they fell apart. But they won game 4, and obviously anybody who watched last night's game knows that, that was a winnable game for them. Not that it wasn't winnable for Florida, too. 2-0 is not insurmountable in NHL hockey. But there were moments where Carolina could have grabbed and won individual games, won individual periods, maybe changed the course of events, where we're still playing hockey, where we're going back to Florida with Carolina leading 3-2. Again, I'm not saying that Carolina was as good as Florida in the series. They absolutely were not. But individual moments and individual games were there. Again, setting that aside, because I don't think Carolina is really all that close to being as good as the Panthers, to be honest. But they got to the NHL semifinals. 4 teams were left, and Carolina was one of them for the second time in the last 3 years. Given what most people thought about this team at the beginning of the season, I just find it pretty remarkable is not the right word. Carolina got the best draw of anybody in the playoffs. But it's still, if I had told you at the beginning of the season that, yeah, Carolina would be in the Eastern Conference Finals, you'd have gone, get out of here. This is not that good. Well, they are. Yeah. And they got there. And I think when you get there, people suspend everything they thought about the team before and everything when they look at the roster, it's like they get like beer goggles. It's like it's after 2:00 and the NHL bar is closing. Boy, is that a pretty team. And look, the Hurricanes had major flaws that they were not going to be able to overcome, on top of the fact that they were forced to play 2 rookies on the back end. And say what you want, all of the Twitter GMs and coaches, they didn't lose because Alexander Nikishin and Scott Morrow played. Okay, Nikishin impacted the game in a positive way in Game 4 of this series. He was good enough in Game 3, but in Game 4, he clearly impacted the game in a good way. In Game 5, he didn't. He just didn't. And Morrow looked way over his head. No, again, I was never expecting Scott Morrow to have a good playoffs. We'll get into what might have remedied that over the course of our discussion. All right. 919-860-5326. We are going to take phone calls. Cory Lavalette's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. I'll tell you what, let's start with the captain, Jordan Staal, from the locker room, who nearly scored a goal after Sebastian Aho. It was probably 5 or so minutes after Aho scored to make it 1-0. Jordan rang the crossbar from a really good chance in tight. Another situation where Carolina hit a lot of posts in the playoffs, a ton of posts in the playoffs. Here's the captain, Jordan Staal.
Jordo, these are always tough moments when the season ends, but you guys fought and clawed in this one. Just seems like you got beat by a superstar player, essentially.
Yeah, that was a great game. Both teams played great. We had them for a bit there. They came right back with a great second. Boys back tied it up. Teams going at it for sure.
4.5 minute stretch in the second period when he scored the 3 goals. What did you guys see there with the team? What did they do better in that stretch?
Yeah, obviously another power play that PK's got to have, and I could have done a better job of blocking that one if we want to really break it down. I think they made a quick play out of our end on the second one. Not sure, honestly, how that one unfolded. But obviously we just kind of got off our game, and they got going a little bit and got some momentum. And a little face-off play in the third. It's a nice play. But obviously we could defend that better. They did a great job in the second, kind of get going again. And, they're a quick team that can make you pay when they get some momentum, and they put the puck in the net very efficiently.
Jordan, is this obviously never easy, but is it harder because you did show that you could take your game to them in the last 3 games and for large stretches?
Yeah, I think essentially we lost in the first few games. I mean, you can't start a series like that and expect, a better outcome. You hope it, obviously, for it as you move forward. But the first two games, we were a little hesitant and kind of a little just kind of off a little bit. And obviously, the group, I think, as a whole, battled hard. And last three games, played some good hockey. And, give them credit. They played a great series through and through. And special teams, 5-on-5, goaltending, everything was impressive from them and a little bit better.
Now that it's over, did this team overachieve?
No, I think the expectation's always been a cup here, so no.
I'm sure there'll be time to talk about the future, but a lot of this group comes back. Obviously, you have a bunch of cap space. You feel like you got, this is a chance to get to that next level eventually next year.
Yeah, there's always opportunity to get better. I'm sure as an organization and management, they're going to try to get better. Or obviously have to be better. There's still room for improvement, and I think with the group we have, the core we have here, and the players adding to it, only make us more dangerous.
You guys have gotten to this stage 3 times in this run. Is there anything that you know or you've learned that you guys can apply going forward, or is that a conversation that has to happen later?
Yeah, nothing I can think of right now. We've had slow starts in this series when it gets up to the top 4 teams. They're great teams, and having a slow start is never great. And we've got to be more on top of it. And then there's always little things. Power play could be better. Special teams, PK. Obviously we always believe in the group when we get here. And coming up short is never easy, and it doesn't ever get any easier. But always try to get better and try again.
That's Jordan Stahl in the locker room. It's always a tough place to be not only after a loss. I mean, when I used to cover the locker rooms and Carolina was losing as a rule, it got tedious. I remember Sebastian Aho once saying, this is probably his second year in the league, saying, it's the same bleep every day. It just wears on you. And the toughest locker room is the last one. Unless you happen to win the Stanley Cup, in which case it's easy. But the toughest locker room is that last one because it's over. There's no, we'll learn from this, take the positives, learn from it, move on. There's none of that. I mean, there might be, but it's not until next year. There's no next game for this group. One more thing before we take calls, 919-860-5326. Cory Lavalette will join us at the bottom of the hour. Asking a player if this team overachieved, and I'm not saying it's a bad question. I'm just saying sometimes when you ask a question and you put yourself in the mind of a player, the players don't look at their locker room and say, we're not as good as them. There is not a single Hurricane. If I ask Sebastian Aho tomorrow, hey, do you think you guys are as good as Florida? He would say, yeah, I think we are. Because they believe in each other. So did this team overachieve? We can all make a determination on whether they did or not. But as a player, they will never say, yeah, you know what? We weren't really that good. I can't believe we got this far. We fooled Washington, didn't. They're never going to do that. 919-860-5326. Because we all have unlimited long distance now. Jacob, in apparently Bloomington, Indiana. How about that? What are you doing in Bloomington, Indiana, Jacob?
Well, thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
But I recently just graduated, so I'm living here the rest of the summer.
Good
and then
for you.
I'm looking on the job hunt.
Good luck.
But thank you. But, I wanted to talk about how this season has been spectacular, but also I'm really questioning the national media when it comes to how they've treated our coach And even last night, a lot of talking heads about how, I mean, even the past week, it's been, should Brind'Amour be fired? And I think it's laughable. And I know you agree, but that's the one frustration I have from the season, because we've had successful seasons for the past 7 years.
Yeah, Jacob, there's a lot to unpack there. One, I don't think anybody in the national media is saying that Rod Brind'Amour should be fired. I do think that there is a faction of Hurricanes fans that's just the knee-jerk reaction to somehow failing to win a Stanley Cup, apparently, in 7 years. Whereas, look, there's a lot of teams around the league that haven't won a Stanley Cup. I mean, and I know the Rangers have cycled through coaches, but if the Rangers were consistently where the Hurricanes are in the playoffs, I don't think that would be the case. Either way, so I do think Hurricanes fans are frustrated that this team has not been able to break through this round. But I do think there is a larger point about how the national press views the Hurricanes, and we saw it several times. I don't know who it was last night, but he clearly was writing a story about whether or not Carolina's system can win a Stanley Cup. And what I can't believe that smart people don't realize is that while I am not going to sit here and say that what Carolina and Florida do are identical, because I'm positive that there are things that they do differently than Carolina does. However, Florida's game is predicated on the same tenets that Carolina's game is: getting pucks behind defense, forechecking, and forcing turnovers. I don't know why it works for them other than their players are better and bigger. And it doesn't work for us, although it does to a point. So I don't know why it's the system and not necessarily just not having the same caliber player that Florida has. And I think that smart people should recognize that, but maybe they don't. That's my bigger problem with the national media is that. But Jacob, good luck on your job hunt.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
You got it. Jacob here from Bloomington, Indiana. Do we have is anybody from this area code?
We do. We have Micah from Morrisville.
Micah from Morrisville, North Carolina?
Yes.
Or do we have
I'm
a Morrisville, Missouri? Micah, what up?
Hey, Adam. From Morrisville, North Carolina.
Thank you.
But, I guess I just wanted to say just a couple things. Like, you kind of hit on it already, but the people that are hating on Rod, like, I don't understand it. In his post game, he literally thanked the one guy who asked a positive question, because looking at the team on paper, like you already said, like, I don't even know if they were supposed to make the playoffs, let alone win a round. So the haters on Rod are annoying. But also I want to say that, like, also the hating on Brent Burns, like, I've definitely hated on him a little bit too, but like, this dude played like really well. He played over like 22 minutes.
Yeah, I think he had a good playoffs.
Old.
I think Brent had a very good playoffs.
Yeah, and then lastly, I would say, like, if he wants to come back, I think you re-sign him for a very low price and you put him on the third pairing. They need to get a bruiser D-man. Obviously, we need somebody to protect the crease. And then I'd also say Ghost is a big question mark for me. I don't know. I feel like he got worse as the playoffs went on. Especially at defending, doing his job, being the power play. I mean, quarterback, he's okay at it, but, like, I don't know. There's question marks there. But, yeah, we need more size on the forwards, too. Like a Josh Anderson type would be amazing. But, yeah, that's all I got.
I mean, somebody certainly as big as Josh Anderson, although I think he's kind of resurrected a pretty solid career after he's had a lot of injury issues. Appreciate the call, Micah. First of all, far be it from me to say this out loud. I'm not sure the best question in the press conference wasn't asked by our friend Josh Graham.
Oh, no, it was. Yeah.
It was because, and I think it got to, it brought in the offseason. I believe that was Josh's question.
Yes, where he thanked him, Rod thanked him afterward.
Yeah, normally, and I say this lovingly, normally Josh asks annoying questions. But this happened to be a very good one.
It's good.
And to the point where it was tweeted out, And somebody said, great question, and Josh quote tweeted it so people would know that it was his. Mwah!
Has to own it.
Mwah! Josh. But it was because I think it is important. Like, there is a broad conversation about this Hurricanes team. So, and I can just start with the trade deadline. They tried to remake a team. They knew this was a transition year. It was not supposed to be continued greatness. Last year was the year you went all in, and it didn't work. In fact, I asked Tom Dundon, does that make you more or less likely to do it again? And he said, we'll never do it again. In other words, make a trade deadline deal. Now, this is, of course, my opinion. They screwed up the Jake Gensel free agency to the point where he's in Tampa and not here. But he doesn't believe in adding a player for a playoff push if it's only going to increase your chances of winning by 1 or 2%. He doesn't believe that. And I get it. They look at it in terms of percentages. So
we have a couple guys.
Oh, okay.
Next up is Doug from the Dirty Bird area. I'm assuming maybe Atlanta.
That would be good. I'll get back to my thoughts later. Doug in Dirty Birdville.
No, I'm calling from Washington, D.C. I'm traveling.
Oh, okay.
I did some, I'm still a student of the game, and I did some research, and I looked, and when the Red Wings ended their 25-year run in the playoffs,
right,
they won 4 times, 97, 98, 02, 08, but it took them 7 years to win that first one.
Right.
I'm loving the fact we've got Rod. I'm enjoying it, and I'm hoping that he keeps building the team to where we will be more competitive in the years to come. And I feel in the next 2 years we're going to host another cup. And I'm going to hang up and listen to your thoughts.
I will agree with that. I think that there are changes that will be made that will put this team in a better position, and they have very good players, a lot of very good players that will be enhanced by additions that will make those players even better. So, yeah, so it's Indiana,
yes,
Morrisville, Missouri.
Wherever he's driving through Washington,
and he was
D.C.
in Washington, D.C.
Our last one, we have Joey from Willow Springs.
Joey from Willow Springs, and that's a foreign country. Joey, what's up?
Hey. I just want to thank you, obviously, from all the Carolina Hurricanes fans for everything you do throughout the year. It's definitely going to be missed before we get back up, before you know it. But
yeah, it's right around the corner. I mean, we're going to be –
I know.
It's not that far away.
Yeah. I just want to get your thoughts on the importance that I guess we found out Jalen Chatfield serves to this team in the blue line.
Yeah.
I think we didn't realize it until he was out, especially with Orlov. I think his play kind of dipped, definitely in a couple games there.
Oh, yeah. Dimitri had a rough series against Florida.
Yeah, I think Chatfield's definitely due for an increase in responsibility, maybe even going up to the first pairing with Chatfield. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Personally, I think Jalen Chatfield is going to play with Alexander Nikishin next year. I think the hunt for Carolina will be to find a top pair right defenseman to play with Jacob Slavin. That's the way I look at it. All right, we're going to take a break here. Cory Lavallette's going to help us sort through this. We're going to get him with us. Then we'll get back to phone calls because we're on YouTube. We can be anywhere.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
You could be watching us in Dublin, Ireland with Paul. Well, I got an email from Paul from Dublin, Ireland today, so we whatever you want to do, right? You can even put some questions in the chat.
Oh yeah, I'm paying attention.
Allow people to do that.
Yep.
919-860-5326. Cory Lavalette joins us next.
From the heels,
touchdown Carolina,
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
September 1st versus TCU. That is UNC football's opening game. How many switches, how many twists in the Bill Belichick story are we going to get in the next 100 some odd days before the opener? Unlimited. It is insane, and UNC has to find a way to cut out the distractions and focus on football.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. This could be the last night of the NBA's conference finals as the Knicks are trying to stave off elimination. I don't think we use the word stave in any other context other than to avoid being eliminated from a series in the playoffs. And FanDuel is the best place to find all your favorite player props. It's also the place to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager if you are a new customer. That's right. New customers, place $5 wager, get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Maybe the Knicks will stay alive. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Western One Sports presents this special tennis update. Richard Gasquet is from France, played Roland Garros for the first time at the age of 16. He's now 38 and today lost his second-round match to top-seeded Jannik Sinner in straight sets, and Gasquet bid adieu to tennis. It was the final match of his career. Also advancing the third round, the 3 seeds, Sasha Zverev lost the first set to Jesper de Jong of the Netherlands. Zverev won the next 3 easily. Zverev lost to Carlos Alcaraz in last year's final. The Aussie, Alex de Minaur, seeded 9th, won the first 2 sets, lost the next 3, upset by Russia's Alexander Bublik. Novak Djokovic just underway with France's Corentin Moutet. The women's side, Jess Pegula beat fellow American Ann Lee. Coco Gauff down Teresa Valentova, an 18-year-old qualifier from the Czech Republic. Both wins in straight sets. Madison Keys playing now. She won the first set with the Brit Katie Bolter, 6-1. With this tennis update, John Stashower, Westwood One Sports.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Bank of America is the nation's leading business lender, and we're ready to help with your next goal here in the Triangle. That's why we have over 3,700 local business specialists across the country. Because with the right team, your business and community prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
This is Adam Gold.
He said he could talk about his golf game. He did say it wasn't great, and I said, hey, no judgment here. I'm a drive shacker and a putt-putter myself.
None of us are good. Even those of us that are good aren't really good.
Right, yeah.
We're just not.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. Cory Lavalette from the Athletic and North State Journal, probably operating on similar lack of sleep as we are here. He was at Lenovo Center until the wee hours. Sir, appreciate your time. Let's start with the biggest picture. How do you view what transpired this season?
It was kind of a weird year.
I didn't feel like it was maybe as cohesive as the last couple seasons. There were more ups and downs, I would say. Um, I guess that comes with the transition they had this year, the turnover of players, the new additions. But at the end of the day, you reach the conference finals. You obviously want to do more than that if you're the Hurricanes, but you can't say this is a failure of a season, because I think, and Rod alluded to it last night, the expectations weren't as high this year as they have been. And they, even if they didn't get further than they have, they did exceed them, I think. Especially going through everything they went through with the Mikko Rantanen stuff and all that.
We went from, at the beginning of the year, Cory Lavalette is joining us, at Cory Lav on Twitter. At the beginning of the year, we all understood this was going to be a transition year of considering the players that walked out the door. And we don't even have to talk about the forwards that walked out the door. When you lose one of the top shutdown defensive pairs in the entire NHL, not to mention two of the best penalty killers in the NHL, in Brady Shea and Brett Pesce, and they leave, and it's understandable. You couldn't keep everybody. And the Hurricanes kept what they could, and they knew that they were going to be in transition. They tried to bring some rookies in. So we went into the season, it wasn't going to be as great, and all of a sudden, Martin Necas touched the sun for the first 6 weeks of the season. Carolina got off to a really good start, which was kind of fool's gold because Necas was basically masking some of the problems that we knew that they had. Freddie Anderson, obviously, out again. But the goaltending was mediocre. Is that fair to say for the 3 months that Freddie was out? Piotr, was okay, but sometimes not. Then, of course, it was Spencer Martin and Dustin Tokarski for a while. The two games that we played against Florida around Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving, were both started by Spencer Martin. He started a back-to-back against the defending Stanley Cup champions. I don't think anybody had on their bingo card that Spencer Martin would play either of those games, let alone both. And then they make the trade for Rantanen. And out of nowhere, Carolina's thrust into an area where maybe they shouldn't have been. I don't know. And then everything that transpires after that. So I guess to your point, it really was a weird year. Where did this team ultimately fail? I'll just use that term, even though I don't think this year is a failure. Where did this team ultimately fall short?
Yeah, I mean, they met a team that plays the way they play, that does it better.
Wait a second. I was told that the Hurricanes system, Rod's system, can't win, Cory.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Sorry to derail that. Continue your answer.
Between that and Jeff Daniels running the power play, we've got some good narratives going on. Yeah, I mean, they ran into a team that is, really a juggernaut. Like, you look at what Florida has, they basically have what the Hurricanes have, except you stack two superstars on the top of their lineup. Matthew Tkachuk, even at 70%, which I think is probably where he's at right now, is a game changer at all times, in many ways. And Barkov is essentially Sebastian Aho, but 4 inches taller and 30 pounds bigger.
Yeah.
And, Sebastian Aho can't make that play that Barkov makes in the corner on Dmitry Orlov. He can't power his way to the net in that way, with the finesse that he still has, the skill that he has. So you're missing a superstar player. They tried to get one.
Right.
Superstars aren't infallible. We're seeing that right now with Dallas. I mean, Rantanen was the early Conn Smythe favorite, and now he hasn't scored in 7 games.
No, right.
And this stuff happens. Hockey's a fickle game. What happened in games 1 and 2 wasn't fickle. It was a team that looked overwhelmed. But they've managed to find some footing. Obviously, the game 3 meltdown, not great. The second period meltdown last night, just 4.5 minutes of it.
they bounce back from that, but it's a blow to your psyche, right? It's a, when you think you can't make a mistake, you're playing in a way to not make a mistake. And that's tough. And you don't have guys that necessarily erase or make up for a ton of mistakes that you make, with the exception of Jacob Slavin, who corrects many mistakes. Although I will say Brent Burns cleaned up one of his last night early in the game. So
look, I thought there were times this year where Brent Burns looked like it was done. It was over. I thought he had a pretty good playoffs for a 40-year-old guy who probably logged too many minutes during the course of the season. But he was logging more minutes in the playoffs, and I actually think his game was good. It was unfortunate that Dmitry Orlov, I don't think every game was bad for Orlov. I actually thought Game 4 was good for Orlov. But boy, Game 3 was bad, and Game 5 wasn't good either. But he's also not alone. He had a lot of company, I think, in some bad moments. Cory Lavalette, an area where Carolina has to get better next year.
I mean, I think they need to address the center position. I've been a believer in Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and he continues to prove me wrong. The penalty last night probably didn't get talked about enough. But that's
depends on what you were listening to.
Depends. Really tough call.
It wasn't a great call, but he put himself in position to have the call.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't mean call. A tough play to make at that juncture. Coming off of a failed power play, and you take a bad offensive zone penalty. It's not great. You need to, right now you've got 3 guys who are third or fourth line centers, and you don't have a second line center. Or you could even argue you have a second line center, but you don't have a big time first line center.
Right.
So I think you want to address that. I don't know that you necessarily have to address it with a center, and I thought at the beginning of the year Seth Jarvis might get a look there. That never happened. Part of me wonders if that's the shoulder stuff. We'll find out more tomorrow at closeout day that, I'm sure he's been playing with a bad shoulder again.
All year.
Yeah. I mean, he's had his little flak jacket on not the whole season, but pretty much. He took a hit in practice from Will Carrier, and after that, I didn't see him not have it on. Not to say Will Carrier is the one who hurt it, but I think that's just an ongoing problem, and he probably needs shoulder surgery, and I wonder if it'll happen this summer, because I guarantee you he wants a shot to play in the Olympics.
Right. I asked him once, will you have shoulder surgery at some point? And he goes, if I ever want to throw a ball again, I need to.
Yeah. So the fact that he played the way he played this year, again, for the second straight year, as still a kid in this league, playing with one arm, essentially, I wonder, that doesn't make you very big down the middle, but I do wonder if it's possible to put him there, especially if you go and do something big on the wings. Mitch Marner's name keeps coming up. You've got Bradley Nadeau coming. You think he's a goal scorer. Could you sacrifice? And I thought Andrei Svechnikov, for his faults in this series, I thought he took a big step forward these playoffs. And I thought he was... Jarvis gets the tying goal, but to me, Svechnikov was the guy in the third period who was trying to will the team to tie the game. And he had a part in that too. But I thought he was really, really good in the third period. And I think you hope that he's taken a step and he's ready to be a 90-point player.
He needs, I don't know about 90 points, but he's got to be close to 80, right? He's really never been that. And what I liked Andre in the playoffs. I thought we saw a different Andrei Svechnikov in the playoffs. That Andre we could take going forward. And maybe he's not your best scorer, but he is one of those guys who can be a scorer, can also be a bit of an agitator. I like that. Yeah, I don't know about Seth in the middle. I do agree with you. And first of all, you know me. You and I are on opposite ends of the Jesperi Kotkaniemi scale. And I thought that there were times this year where, man, he's playing well. That's the guy that they could use. And I just thought, and I couldn't blame him entirely for the 4 minutes and 36 second span of the second period, but it was the start of it. Just taking the penalty alone was the start of it. But I can't blame him. I can't blame him for the power play goal. Right? There were mistakes made on that sequence that allowed Matthias Ekholm to have, not Matthias Ekholm, it just made him a different player. Aaron Ekblad to have the shot. I can't blame him for Jordan Martinook helping out where he didn't need to help out and leaving Evan Rodriguez to, go right down the middle. And I can't blame him for Sebastian Aho losing the faceoff and then losing the battle of the front of the net, although it was at the end of a very long shift after an icing, and Seabass was clearly gassed as a result of that.
He also got clipped by, in watching the replay, Burns clips his leg.
Yeah. He was impeded on the way through. No doubt about
it. Tough play.
Yeah, it was
I agree.
Tough all around. So I don't blame Jesperi for all that. But it was an ill-advised decision that he made in the moment that ultimately led to it. And I think we all agree that the head coach has less patience with him than he has with basically any other player. And I understand there are people who feel like KK gets treated differently. He might. But I think the head coach has been mostly fair. He gets a lot of opportunity with all of everything that's gone on. Do they have to move him? We'll close on this. Do they have to move Kotkaniemi?
His number's not so bad, so I mean, you can make an argument both ways that he's useful if you keep him, and if you trade him, he's not like a boat anchor contract that somebody, teams are going to look at somebody like Pierre-Luc Dubois and say, man, that was a terrible contract that he signed with LA, and look what he did in a new environment. And there might be a team that thinks that for under $5 million, we have the chance to get a 2 or 3C at a discount. The thing that jumps out to me, though, is like you don't really need the cap space. Like they've got almost $29 million. Like unless they find a position for me and you,
I can't skate, Cory.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They just need to get to the ceiling so nobody can say that Tom Dundon is cheap. Right?
That is true. Yes, they need to get to the floor. They're about $7 million from $6 million, $7 million from the floor right now.
No, I'm saying they have to get to the ceiling so that Tom Dundon doesn't have the cheap,
that's right.
cheap owner narrative.
Totally understand.
So, I mean, it might be something you have to do. I think you're right that Rod loses patience with him. He sees so much potential there, and it just either it doesn't come through physically, and then sometimes it doesn't come through mentally. He's not, he's still prone to bad mistakes and. But
so is Andre.
I don't think. Yeah, but I thought in the playoffs he was much better.
I loved Andre in the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't want to hang this season on Jesperi Kotkaniemi. I mean, you need more scoring up and down the lineup. You'd think Jackson Blake takes a step forward. You're probably going to have Bradley Nadeau next year. You see what he can bring, particularly on the power play. I think he's a weapon. Encouraging stuff from Alexander Nikishin. I think you've got a top 4 defenseman next year in him.
That's what Tim Gleason said.
Scott Morrow, I think it has a lot of potential. The other thing to consider is you have all this cap space and you've got all these players on cheap deals. That's an opportunity where if you want to go and get a big ticket player that from a team that's in a cap crunch, something that's going to be attractive to them is a Scott Morrow, is a Jackson Blake. You can only have so many wingers, and the Hurricanes have Blake,
lot.
Jarvis, Svechnikov, Nadeau, just
a lot of wingers.
Stankoven, those guys are all talented players that somebody would like. So, I mean, I think we know that they do unorthodox things.
Cory
they're not going
Lavalette.
to do.
Go ahead, real quick, because I have to let you go.
Okay,
that's it. All right. You're the best. I appreciate your time. I will bother you again soon, I'm sure. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good. Give me let me get a couple 12-hour nights of sleep in here, and then we'll reset.
What are those? Cory Lavalette at Cory Lav on Twitter, North State Journal, and The Athletic. Thanks, man. I appreciate your time. All right, we'll break. We'll come right back. We have one timer next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We are down to the Final Four in pro basketball, and that means all of the show-stopping action turning up just a little bit more. Don't miss your chance to bet on all the legendary moments with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, best place for player props, and now even performance trends, all within the best app in the business. Plus new customers, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. That's bodyarmorstategames.org. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
Have you ever heard of paramedics who don't just respond to emergencies, but work to prevent them? The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. Cape Fear Valley Health's Community Paramedic Program is a groundbreaking initiative where paramedics aren't just transporting patients, they're building bridges to better care, right from the patient's living room. Here's Cape Fear's Alinda Bailey.
We're not just asking, what's your medical emergency? We're asking, do you have problems obtaining your medicines? Can you get to your appointments? Are you safe? Are you supported? We try to identify not only the medical needs, the mental health needs, but also the social determinants that play a factor in the care of our patients and clients.
Join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The extra help in Medicare savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
This is Adam Gold.
I have so many questions, too. Like, is the mom going to be in the business, too? Are we going to have, like, themed UNC products? She's in it, so.
Interesting ram horn you've got there.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's here. We're all sleep deprived.
Yes.
It's all right.
The Celsius has not kicked in yet.
No. I've got one in the refrigerator I might dip into, but
right.
I'm right now I'm okay. I might need it for the ride home because
yeah.
this time of day, that time of day, it
It'll get you.
becomes problematic.
Yep.
All right. Do we have time for one timer?
There you go. One timer. Yes, which I know this one in particular has a lot of people talking, also on Twitter, but this came from YouTube, from William.
Okay.
What do you make of the Rod and Paul handshake conversation? Seemed like a power move from Paul.
Well, I mean, actually it kind of was, but even though it was relatively non-controversial. If anybody watched Paul Maurice's postgame last night, Maurice explained that he doesn't believe that the coaches should be involved in the handshake line. So that's why he walked over to Rod and said, basically asked him to not be a part of the handshake line. I actually got confirmation on that. And while Rod, I think, likes the handshake line because I've always said this, Rod thinks in his brain he's a player. And I believe that Rod enjoys congratulating the other team, or especially players that like stand out to him. I think he has tons of respect for the players who play. But Rod, out of respect to Paul, because he won the series, decided to, all right, I'll stay out of it.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. We're in the offseason, but it doesn't mean me and my co-host, WREL TV's Chris Lee, take a break from our podcast, Panthers Playbook. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on Panthers news as training camp approaches, insights on the rookies, the free agents, and the surprises, plus all the insider info on the upcoming season. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hi, I'm Marcy Bailey. And at Bailey's Fine Jewelry, we understand your concerns when it comes to buying an engagement ring. Am I paying too much? Am I getting a quality diamond? Will she love the ring? Rest assured, we prioritize your happiness as much as the exquisite diamonds we offer. That's why we provide unparalleled guarantees to give you peace of mind. First of all, we offer an incredible 30-day money-back guarantee. Secondly, with our unique 100-day price protection, we promise you'll get the best price, quality, and value. But if you find a better offer, we'll match it and give you 10% of the difference. But we don't stop there. We also offer an unprecedented lifetime diamond guarantee. It's our way of giving you confidence throughout all of your cherished moments. We've been locally owned since 1948 and voted the best jeweler year after year. At Bailey's, we're not just selling jewelry. We're providing a legacy of trust. We invite you to shop with us and experience the difference.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
A pepperoni pizza for the table. May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time. Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Handy Hugo's has a refreshing deal. 2 1-liter Pepsis for just $3. Quench your thirst at Handy Hugo's today.
What is dedication?
I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov.
Barbecue season is back. Hey, it's Ellen. And this is Sarah Beth. And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that zesty barbecue sauce. I love that it was a little sweet, a little tangy, and with the mac and cheese,
I feel like I tasted the brown sugar bacon first. It was the absolute best combination. Pro tip, 3 sandwiches are always better than 1.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and our Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Getting hurt in a car wreck comes with all kinds of stress and frustration. But when you call me, I'll be on top of all of it. So all you need to worry about is getting better. If you've been injured in a car wreck, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
There's the inbound, and it's all over. The West has been won by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Going to the finals for the first time in 13 years. The young Thunder have won the West, and they're heading to the NBA Finals. It's a rout in Game 5, 124-94, a 30-point spread, decisive, as OKC gets a week off before facing either Indiana or the New York Knicks.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. We will resume taking phone calls in a minute. In about 20 minutes from now, Tripp Tracy will join us. It's fun, right? Let the people chat no matter where you are. 919-860-5326. 919-860-5326. Let me just say a couple of quick things because I haven't really said anything about today's show. And basically, there are 3 different topics. There's the game, which we can discuss that. What happened, why it happened. There is the series, which sort of is a macro of like a bunch of Hurricanes games this postseason.
Yeah.
Slow start. Oh, we finally got to it. Was it too late or not? It's really the more about this series. The series is sort of like individual games in this series. And then there is the bigger picture, which there are a lot of things to discuss about this. How do you feel about the season as a whole? And I went through that with Cory Lavalette last hour. And if you go back to the summer, as Gensel, Teravainen, Nason, Shea, Pesce were leaving, not that Carolina didn't replace them as best they could, whether it was Gostisbehere, Walker, the elevation from the minor leagues of Jackson Blake, then you bring in Logan Stankoven and Taylor Hall. So there were good pieces added to this team, even though, and now, Martin Necas goes away as well. The roster for Carolina is good. The roster is not great. And it never was great this year. They have a significantly lesser roster this year than they did last year. And that team got to the second round of the playoffs. And I would argue that the roster from 2 years ago could have been better, but of course injury took out both Max Pacioretty and Andrei Svechnikov. So this roster has a lot of really good pieces in it. But it is not a roster, when you look at it, that screams we're going to the Stanley Cup Finals. If we're being honest. And yet, they had a chance. And there's a lot of good in that. And there are some questions about that as well. Right? There are questions about that. So, and I want to bring up one question. And this is not about whether or not Alexander Nikishin or Scott Morrow were good enough. Morrow played a bunch of games during the regular season and at times looked really good and at times looked out of his depth, in my opinion. And I thought basically for the most part in the playoffs he looked out of his depth. That Morrow never looked like he could grab hold of the game and impact it in a positive way. And his ice time reflected that in the last two games. I believe he was under 8 minutes in each of the last two games. So in other words, barely used. Alexander Nikishin had a rough first game in Washington, albeit with some good moments. He had a good enough second run in Game 3 in Florida. He was a good player in Game 4. And I think he was probably maybe as good as he was in Game 3 last night. And this is where, and I said it at the time, I said, you're going through, you want to make a long playoff run. You are going to need 7 or 8 NHL defensemen. And I know there are a lot of people who just think prospects are just going to step into the lineup. Heck, I remember our conversations with our friend Luke DeCock of the News and Observer. And he was like, no, we're going to get to the playoffs. Nikishin's going to be in, blah, blah, blah. Like, well, we saw what Nikishin was. And that was at times good. And he had good moments last night, but he had a bunch of bad moments last night. And which is why you need NHL depth on the blue line. It should be required for every team that thinks about making a deep playoff run. You must go out and reinforce with guys who can play in the NHL. That's why I said, not that I liked Riley Stillman or Ty Smith. And I'm not saying they were even better options than either of the two rookies. But players like that who can step in and play. Or you just simply throw the rookies in and you barely play them and rely heavily on the rest. All right, a couple of things we're going to do. We'll take some phone calls here. Tripp Tracy's coming up at 20 after. And we're going to go to Mike in Durham. Mike in Durham, what's up?
Hey, Adam, it's Mike from Guilford College. We just got back from
our
trip.
Oh, my gosh.
I've been listening to we got to see Arsenal play. We visited Liverpool. We saw Crystal Palace play live.
Look at you.
And we listened to the Canes from 2 to 5 in the morning every night on WRAL.
That is awesome.
So I'm short on sleep.
Me too. Me too.
Listen, about the team real quick. I know we're talking hockey and not about my world travels, but I wanted to just say this. I think an argument could be made that the job that Rod did this year as a coach might have been his best work except for year one when he took that roster to where he took it. Last night, it was hard to be – you never like to lose, but it was hard to be upset with what we got to see this year from this team. We knew that the roster was going to – this roster didn't necessarily line up with Florida's to begin with.
No.
Then you lose Chatfield and you lose Walker.
Yeah.
You're playing with 4 rookies out there. That's why I say I think as a fan base, and at least my personal opinion, this was really a fun year to watch. It was great to see what Rod did with the team, the ranting and stuff that got everybody discombobulated several months ago. I was left last night, despite giving up the lead, which felt a lot like Game 6 last year in the second round against the Rangers, where you get up and you've got the game in hand and then it just gets away from you. I still love the fight at the end with Jarvis's goal. I think this team, with the kind of money and the future you got in front of you, I was more upset about the first Eastern Conference final loss to Florida a couple of years ago because I thought that team had a better roster to match up with Florida. And again, those are all one-goal losses. So as a fan base, I think we should feel really good about the job that was done this year by the front office and by the head coach.
Yeah, and I think there were still some misses by this front office. Again, I just mentioned that. I just think it should be required that you add NHL depth on your blue line, and Carolina could have done it. What it would have meant would have been Will Carrier's contract being placed on long-term injured reserve, and he not coming back until the end of the regular season. But they wanted to see him play, so they couldn't do that. Other teams don't do it that way. Maybe Carolina should have, but they should have done. They should have added NHL depth on the blue line, so we're not in a situation where you're missing two really key pieces, and you can't really survive it. And I'm not saying they didn't win because of those two guys. I think they didn't advance past Florida because of Florida more than Scott Moore and Alexander Nikishin.
I agree with that. Let me ask you this question. Do you think we're going to see these things addressed in the offseason before the year starts, or maybe hold a little powder in the cannons for the trade deadline next year? But it just seems to have aligned that you've got, and again, Nikishin will have time to maybe overcome some of the language barriers. You're going to have some other decisions you can make, but you at least have assets too that you can deal around draft time or even after. Is next year the year?
Well, they have money. I appreciate the call, Mike, and welcome back. We'll talk about your football excursion another time, because I am interested in it. But I'm going to move on to another caller. But the truth of the matter is, the Hurricanes have money they have to spend. Forget about want to spend. They have money they have to spend. With a salary cap, there is a floor you must reach, and the Hurricanes are still looking up at it. They have money they must spend to be in compliance. This is not a great free agent class. There are some free agents that you could go after, and I know Cory mentioned Mitch Marner before, and Marner is an elite player, but he is a pass first, shoot next player. Great defender, by the way. I think Carolina has plenty of pass first, shoot next guys. So, by all means, go after Mitch Marner. Although I don't see him coming to Carolina, not because it's Carolina. I see Mitch Marner being more attracted to a big market, even if it's not a good team. Watch Chicago throw all of the money at Mitch Marner. All of it. Because he could get like $15 million if somebody really wanted.
Big time.
So watch situations like that. But, yeah, I mean, you take Mitch Marner, but he's not really what they need. Nate in Richmond. I assume Richmond, Virginia. I was just there. How are you?
Yeah, that's right. I'm good, Adam. How are you?
Doing well.
Great. So just wanted to chime in here from Richmond. I'm originally from Raleigh. It's where my Canes fandom started from. But, my thoughts on the season are that, it obviously isn't what they wanted. I think that people aren't giving the roster that we had enough credit. I think they could have gone further. I think they could have reached the Cup final. Maybe Lord Stanley's a bit of a stretch, but I think what we had on this roster is pretty heavily slept on. And then other than that, I think if we learned anything this season, I think it's that we can learn Eric Tulsky. I think that what he was trying to do with the Rantanen trade, and obviously Rantanen's most recent games haven't been, up to his standards, but what he was trying to do by bringing him in, shows that he's committed to winning a Stanley Cup and more importantly, winning with this core. And I think he is the right guy to do it. And I think he proved that through what he recovered through the Rantanen trade. Not only is Logan a great player in his own right, but now we have even more assets to pursue other players in the trade route, and also, as you mentioned, the wealth of money that we do need to spend in free agency.
Yeah. By the way, when Rantanen was going through his torrid streak in the middle of between the first and the second rounds, when Hurricanes fans were really mad at it, it made me appreciate what Eric Tulsky was trying to do, because he recognized that this was the type of a player that Carolina needed to take another step. They needed a bona fide playoff scorer, and that's what Rantanen is. I know he hasn't scored in the last 7 games. That's no good, by the way, but Dallas as a team has not played as well over the last several games either. I do want to do one quick thing with you before I move on. I think this roster was good, but compared to the team that they just played, if we threw all of the forwards on the ice and we were only going to choose the top 12 of them to make a team out of those 2 groups of forwards, how many Hurricanes would be in the top 12?
In the top 12?
Top 12. Florida's
honestly,
forwards and Carolina's forwards. How many
Right.
Carolina forwards would be in the top 12?
Okay, I'm taking our top line.
Right.
I mean that's a good question, obviously, but
the answer is you just named them. No, this is I'm not trying to prove a point. What I'm saying is Carolina's roster against another team might have been good enough, not against that one.
Fair enough. I still think they could have gotten it. I think people are grossly underestimating the impact of Sean Walker and Jalen Chatfield. In my opinion, those are 2 of your top 3 defensemen.
Huge losses. I think more so Chatfield because of all of his ability to skate. Also, he actually emerged as one of Carolina's best offensive players on the blue line, and I think there's another level for him. Nate, enjoy Richmond. I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it, Adam. Thank you.
You got it. Real quick, Ben in Holly Springs. Ben, after you, we're calling Tripp Tracy.
All right. Well, I'll get off the phone quick for Tripp then. I just wanted to say you made this point a lot. Taking a big picture stance, it's great what they accomplished this year. The roster was not what we thought it was last year. And then I know you got to get off quickly, so I'll just say I was in the arena last night, and I was in there for Game 2. A much different vibe. Game 2 was maybe the first time I booed.
Yeah. Game 2 was a disaster.
But I kind of made my peace after that. So last night I was kind of there just appreciating the competitiveness as opposed to Game 2. Until Tripp, when he got on the Jumbotron last night, the place was rocking. We all appreciated it.
Oh, my gosh. The place was vibrating because it was right after the Jarvis goal.
I wanted to ask, when's the last time you felt the place that loud? How many years has it been?
Macro, Tripp was shaking? I wasn't sure if Tripp was shaking or if the actual Jumbotron was shaking. He wrote real quick about last night. I thought last night was, just individually, an outstanding hockey game. I mean, there were chances, there were great plays, the goals were awesome, and unfortunately, Carolina had that 4.5-minute stretch of the second period where it got away from them, but they did get it back. But ultimately, Florida's team, man, Florida's so good. I don't know if they're going to win the Cup because I'm not sure you're going to deny McDavid and Draisaitl a second straight year. I'm just not sure. That team has a ton of firepower. Stuart Skinner's playing well. Ben in Holly Springs, I will talk to you soon. Thanks, man.
All right, thanks, Adam.
All right, Tripp Tracy, next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
September 1st versus TCU. That is UNC football's opening game. How many switches, how many twists in the Bill Belichick story are we going to get in the next 100-some-odd days before the opener? Unlimited. It is insane, and UNC has to find a way to cut out the distractions and focus on football.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Out on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated the kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166171 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. Novak Djokovic last week turned 38, celebrated by winning the tournament in Geneva, his 100th career tournament victory. 24 of those have been Grand Slams. The search for number 25 as Djokovic seated only 6th in Paris. He's taking on France's Corentin Moutet, ranked 73rd. Djokovic leads 6-3, 3-2. Top seed Yannick Sinner, winner of the last 2 Grand Slams, 3 of the last 5. Today sent France's Richard Gasquet into retirement. Sinner lost only 7 games. A 4-set win for 3rd-seeded Alex Zverev, a 5-set loss for 9th-seeded Alex de Minaur. The Aussie blew a 2-set lead, was upset by Russia's Alexander Bublik. 21-year-old American Ethan Quinn, the NCAA champion with the Georgia Bulldogs, taking on Russia's Alexander Shevchenko. He's up 2-1 and leads 5-4 in the 4th. A trio of Americans into the 3rd round for the women: Coco Gauff, Jess Pegula, and Madison Keys. With this tennis update, John Stashower, Westwood One Sports.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies to same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Progressive knows when you're in your RV, you're already on vacation. That's when you become Vacation You, who just camped where there's absolutely no shade. Even though regular you burns easily. In fact, Vacation You burns too, but is too stubborn to admit it, which is why regular you gets in trouble at the dermatologist, because Vacation You doesn't do doctors. So bundle your RV with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use 2 screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch 2 games at the same time.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry. I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Tripp Tracy's going to join us in a second. Just real quick, picking up the Cory Lavalette conversation from toward the end of last hour as it pertains to Seth Jarvis. 2 things for me that are I just want to get out there. 1, I'm not going to speculate on player surgeries, and Cory wasn't doing that either. We all know Jarvis has been played 2/3 of last season injured, and he played most of this season with the same injury that healed more than well enough for him to go out and play. And he did miss time earlier this year when he didn't re-injure it, but he took a couple of hits, and he was dealing with a lot of pain. Anyway, Jarvis had another outstanding year. He's getting better and better as a player every year. I didn't think this was a particularly great playoffs for Seth. Thought it was good. It wasn't great. I thought it was good playoffs. I thought he was very good last night. I don't see Jarvis as a center. And I'm fairly certain that the head coach doesn't see Jarvis as a center. Here's what this is the reason Rod didn't want to move Natchez to center ever. And Natchez played center for 7 games for the Hurricanes, and they were the first 7 games he ever played. That's it. And then they sent him to the minor leagues. That was in 2018-19. And he played wing there. The only time he ever plays center, I believe, is for his national team. But Rod doesn't want to take away an effective player who can score on the wing to move him inside, saddle him with further responsibilities at the risk of losing his offense. That's his philosophy. My philosophy is when Tripp Tracy is ready to come on the radio, we talk to Tripp Tracy. My friend, I feel like I just saw you.
You sure did. And,
Yeah.
AG, my dear friend, the euphoria of the fun moments and the successful moments in the playoffs. And if you don't achieve the ultimate goal, it just, does it ever come to just a painful screeching halt? And, so now I'm going to, in the next few days, head up to Michigan, and I'm thinking about, I don't remember the movie, but I'll probably watch it with my mom this summer. My mom and dad loved it, The Sting.
Oh, my gosh, what a great flick.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it, but, there's no doubt about it. The Sting. Yeah, it's real today.
Yeah.
It's real, and that's the reality of it, especially with the opportunity that you created with that great start last night and a good start to the second period to extend this thing to 6 games and be getting on a plane to go to South Florida right now. So it's a sting today. There's no doubt about it. That's just where I'm at.
Tripp Tracy is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I don't often disagree with Rod. I thought Carolina's game in game 1 was good, but it wasn't great. I don't think they really forced Florida to. The way I looked at it, I don't think they forced Florida to get out of second gear. Game 2 was atrocious. We all know it. There was no way around that. Rod admitted it. But game 3 was 1-1 into the third period. That was a winnable game for Carolina down there in game 3. Game 4 they won. Game 5, they had, I don't know if having control of the game is accurate, but 2-0, still playing really well, being the better team, even through that power play, because I actually thought that was a good power play, even though it hadn't scored, until the penalty, and then obviously it went sideways. But I thought the last 3 games looked so much more like Hurricanes hockey that, I was encouraged. I wish that they hadn't essentially, sacrificed is the right word. I wish they hadn't basically, fallen down 0-2. It was sort of a microcosm of macro of some of the games, no?
Yeah, do you want me to hit on?
Sure.
Because there's so much there on the series as opposed to just centrally last night.
Yeah, do whatever you like.
Yeah, so, you and I spoke before the beginning of the series. And, and listen, whether you've got a bunch of different players or not, it's the privilege that you and I have had to be here even long before the last conference final win, Game 7 against Buffalo with Brind'Amour's winner in 2006. Everybody knew going in, that you had lost 12 consecutive Eastern Conference final games. All right. You also knew that Florida had just played in Toronto at Game 7, and they're playing 48 hours later. So, when you and I talked before Game 1, I thought to truly compete in this series that they were going to have to, at a minimum, go down to Florida 1-1, erase that streak.
Right.
And really, with how good you had been perfect, 5-0, I think, at that point, and you're building in the playoffs and the elite record in the regular season at home, really you're going to have to go down there 2-0 to really show the Panthers that you're going to compete in this series. It didn't happen. The reasons it didn't happen, I thought there was very visible rust from their skilled guys early on. I thought that the Hurricanes, to a detriment, tried to show Florida that they could play that nasty Florida and so they got away from their identity. I thought there was rust in their skill. And then, it's my job, objectively so, but it's my job as an analyst for the team to then say, well, that didn't happen. I thought it was a must to win the series, but now how are they going to get back into this thing? And, just like this roster that lost so much last summer, and I truly thought going into the year that making the playoffs would be a success in and of itself. Started with me in the preseason, and I got really bullish about the future of the franchise with what I saw with the prospects in the preseason. I knew about all the cap space that was going to be available. So, I looked at it, right or wrong. My expectations this year with this roster was, if they make the playoffs, that's a success. Anything beyond that is a bonus, but then they continue to overachieve, so my expectations go up like everybody else's did. And so then, in the series, you're down 2-0, and, really you just look at some of these critical moments. The Taylor Hall turnover after you have that early kill in the third period in Game 3. Your power play, it had all sorts of great looks last night, but in an elimination game, you need results.
Didn't score.
And the best power play of the night was the one at 2-0. Both units had grade A chances. I got to look at the Burns replay and see just how much he missed by. Kokiniemi had actually been on his toes late in that power play to prevent, I think it was Rodriguez, from having a breakaway. And I'm like, wow, this is a good sign. Then he just took a completely unnecessary penalty. However you feel about the call, I thought it was a penalty. And you just can't do that against a team that, even though they had lost Louis Sarainen, they're just waiting for a moment. They're not going to panic. And then you have the opportunity to get the puck out. Martinuk, who played through, I bet, a ton here in these playoffs, couldn't settle it. Barkov keeps it in. I thought Barkov, for me, I don't know what you did with your 3 stars last night, partner, but for me, runaway first star.
Oh yeah, but I don't do any stars other than Hurricanes for the post-game show.
But in the game, Barkov makes the play there, and we know the play made on the winner, and it's just so frustrating to me because it took a complete effort in Game 4, and that's what it was going to take to do something legendary, to get it to Florida, and you would have needed to be even more perfect. You and I talked about it. Isn't the word, because you're never going to, but smart. And they just, yes, Barry, it just wasn't a smart decision in that moment, because even though your power play hadn't delivered a dagger to make it 3-0, you gave Florida life.
Yep.
And it's that simple. And it's these moments, I look back to Game 1. You and I talked about it, recently. Aho gets that goal off his skate to make it 2-1 late in the first period. Your second periods at home had been dominant in the playoffs, dominant in the regular season. Look at what Florida did in the 3 second periods in the games in Raleigh this year.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, I talk all the time about all sports. All sports comes down to there are moments in games that if you grasp them and you make the most of them, it can turn the game. I'll go back to Game 1, that 2-on-1 that Aho and Jarvis had, where Aho never looked to shoot, was always going to pass, and Nico Mikkola defended it well, and the pass never gets through to Jarvis. If Aho keeps it and scores, Carolina goes up 1-0 2 minutes into the game, how different is the rest of the game? We have no idea. To me, there were 3 moments in that game, and now I don't remember it. I have to go back and look at my notes. There were 3 moments in that game, and that was the first one that, to me, helped decide the game. There were several moments that really did it, but that was the first one, and Carolina didn't grab that moment. As you like to say, the moment grabbed them. Yeah. So, look, I don't want to blame everything on Jesperi Kokiniemi, but it was the impetus for that 4.5-minute stretch where Florida went from 2-0 down to 3-2 ahead. Overall, but first of all, I thought if he wasn't absent for Game 4, I thought Nico Mikkola might have been the best player in the whole series.
I talked to him. I went down to their locker room last night. I wanted Carolina to win more than anything on planet Earth, AG. But I got a lot of great friends on that side, and I'm feeling the sting in all caps today. But I went down, spent some time with Paul Maurice and Tuomo Ruutu, Bill Zito, who I know very well, and then Alexander Barkov is one of my closest friends in the world, and so I saw Mikkola, and I spoke to him, just about how much they were missing when he was out of the lineup in Game 4, and the impact that he made coming back in. I mean, special player, and there was a ton of conversation. When you think about Reinhart missing a couple of games and Mikkola Greer just missing the one. Last night, you had the 3 and 4 where Nikishin showed you, oh my gosh, how excited we should be about the future to the ends of the earth. He looked like a rookie last night.
Yeah, he did.
And that's not something that concerns me in the big picture. And I'm always solutions based, but when you look at the depth that Florida has, not playing the entire series with Chatfield and Walker for the tail end of it, that just makes that hill so much steeper. And when I try to make myself feel better today, Adam, I say to myself, because we haven't heard specifically yet, but I don't think it's my assumption that neither Chatfield or Walker were going to be available in the rest of this thing. That's my gut feeling. So it at least makes me feel better that without those two guys, that were you going to win 2 more games? Who knows? But Mikkola, you could argue, Slavin, did he ever come on in games 4 and 5? But Mikkola certainly, at the very least, was as good of a defenseman at both ends of the rink as there was for either team in this series.
Yeah, I mean, he and Barkov, to me, were the 2 best players in Florida uniforms. And they had a lot of really good players, including Sergei Bobrovsky, who, again, there weren't that many spectacular saves. For me, the best save he made was the one on Stankoven in Game 4, and ultimately Florida lost the game. Right, that was the save on Stankoven, and I think Nolan scored later on. I might have gotten my games mixed up. Tripp Tracy is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Just real quick, and if you're not ready or in the mood, I get it. If you had to say Carolina needs to add this and this, what are this and this?
Well, 2 center for sure. And I walked Frank, my dog, a little bit ago, and I caught some of this conversation. Seth Jarvis is not a center.
Yeah.
And, listen, I welcome every opinion on planet Earth. The reason I say that is because I still think he's arguably, at this point with the current roster, the most natural finisher that you've got. And you want that on the wings. But then when you look at it, can we agree Florida's the standard?
Yes.
And, so look at the size that Barkov exhibited on Orlov and then Robinson when he went to Chase before Alexander got it to Verhaeghe for the game winner. You don't just want to address that center ice position, but you want it with size. And as much as I love, in all caps, Seth Jarvis, and he plays a foot taller than he is. You got a bunch of small wingers that, all have incredible promise and current massive value. So I don't see that in the least. I'm just going to be blunt, but that you've got to address that, because, there were points in this series where your weakest links unfortunately cost you.
Yeah.
The other area would be, with the narrative that was there, and I get it, in this series about bite, Carolina showed heaviness in these playoffs, whether it be Carrier, whether it be Robinson, Jordan Stahl when he got angry, and I thought he was great last night. He hit that post. So I think up front, you've really improved that. Now what you've got to address, and I think it's on the back end, and I think Nikishin's going to bring it as he gets more comfortable, But whether it be on the back end or up front, you don't just need bite and heaviness. You need mean.
Yep.
So that's the two things for me, is that 2 center and finding a way to get more mean.
I think hearing Rod say it, whether it was, I think it might have been after Game 3, you heard him say it in the postgame that, we'll address those things, down the road, those types of elements. Yeah, it's still hockey is not. They're not friendlies. Even if you are playing, there's nothing friendly about a hockey game. Every especially in the playoffs, every post whistle, there are confrontations. And while you don't want to do something that puts you in the penalty box, and that happened last night, I thought that was an unfortunate call on Nikishin to send him to the box. Although Carolina's penalty kill looked great in the first period, they had some practice. Were they 2 for 2 in the first period? I think they were 2 for 2 in the first period, and they came pretty rapid fire. But that first one, I didn't like that call on Nikishin.
Neither did I.
Either way, they need to have some, whether it's sandpaper, abrasion, however you want to see it, but meanness is the right way. And they also need, I think Carolina at times in this series, and I think certainly in the first 2 or 3 games, at times looked intimidated to me by Florida. They overcame it because I thought they really played the last 3 games. I really don't have any argument. Third period of Game 3 notwithstanding, I really don't have any problem with the way they played essentially 8 of the last 9 periods. And that goes for the second period last night too, which I thought there were really good moments in that period. Just 4:36 really doomed them.
AG, to your point, I'm going to tell you a story, and I regret this.
Do you regret that you're telling me? Or
no, I've committed to it now. So a few years ago, it was 2 years ago, and before the playoffs started. And my history with Barkov is, we became really good friends years ago. And then when I missed the game in New York before his first press conference, entering the playoffs, he put on a dig. I was missing the playoffs.
Right.
He put on a digging in hat in support. So, anyways, there came a point where they just didn't have a solution for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Right.
They just kept getting beat. And I said to him, Barkey, you're the nicest guy on planet Earth. You should be a Hart Trophy candidate, aside from a Selke candidate, the way you play on a yearly basis. But you got to get mean. Just a little bit of that in your game, because those guys, Kucherov and company on that Tampa side, they're willing to do whatever it takes if you stand between them and advancing to the next round. And I regret that I said that to him, because he's added just enough of that. That's my regret. But that's what the Hurricanes need to add. You're the soccer, football around the world fan that you are. This ain't a friendly.
No.
When it all gets settled in the handshake line, or, going down to congratulate my friends on the Florida side, despite the fact that this is a sting of all stings, that's the grace portion of the tour. But within the context, you bet. You gotta be willing to do whatever it takes, individually and in a group, if they're standing between you and the ultimate goal.
Tripp, Tracy, to you and Frank and your mom, have a great summer. I'll reach out. We'll chat over the course of the summer as events warrant. I might just reach out because, but I thank you for the entire season. It's been great. We probably had way more than 100 conversations. It's not even 100 doesn't even touch it. Probably 130 conversations over the course of this season. And I appreciate and loved every one of them. So thank you for that. And I'll talk to you very soon.
Hey, G, I hate to compare years with you having known you since the Greensboro days, but I can certainly say this, and I said it to you last night before I gave you a hug. I've certainly never enjoyed a year more with you than I did this one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Same here. And safe travels. Best to Frank.
You betcha. Love you.
I love you too, man. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will stretch. You enjoyed that, didn't you, Victoria?
Of course.
Yeah, you were smiling.
Always.
Gosh, I could talk to Tripp all day. We'll take a break. We'll stretch. We'll place bets. Didn't win any yesterday, did I? No, that didn't win. That one. I liked that. That didn't win. All right,
tried.
1 for 3. Not bad. 1 for 3 is good. All right, next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We are down to the Final Four in pro basketball, and that means all of the show-stopping action turning up just a little bit more. Don't miss your chance to bet on all the legendary moments with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, best place for player props, and now even performance trends, all within the best app in the business. Plus new customers, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end. The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now. The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
Have you ever heard of paramedics who don't just respond to emergencies, but work to prevent them? The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. Cape Fear Valley Health's community paramedic program is a groundbreaking initiative where paramedics aren't just transporting patients, they're building bridges to better care, right from the patient's living room. Here's Cape Fear's Alinda Bailey.
We're not just asking, what's your medical emergency? We're asking, do you have problems obtaining your medicines? Can you get to your appointments? Are you safe? Are you supported? We try to identify not only the medical needs, the mental health needs, but also the social determinants that play a factor in the care of our patients and clients.
Join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The Extra Help and Medicare Savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
Here at NC Cyber Academy, screens are a good thing. At our K-12 tuition-free virtual charter school, your child can find a flexible and personalized education that lets them take a brain break when they need it, but also provides structured one-on-one time with our amazing teachers. But we also power down our laptops for in-person activities with fellow students to build community. Visit myncca.com to learn how we can set your child up for success in the classroom, at college, and in their careers.
This is is Adam Gold.
I told Tim, who does the afternoon show, I said, I'm about to turn this game around. We need Cheez-Its. So I went to go get magical Lucky Cheez-Its, and guess what? Boom. Period 2, tied it up. And then at the end of the game, I still had like 8 Cheez-Its in the cup left, and I said, Lucky Cheez-Its.
There you go.
The Adam Gold Show.
How did the Cheez-Its work yesterday?
Actually, once I got them, we scored 2 goals. It was in the
really?
first.
Should have kept eating them.
I know. Our good friend Nada actually texted me while this was happening, and he was like, do you have Cheez-Its right now? I said, yep.
By the way, I appreciate, dear friends, Kanata Edwards, Nada, Brendan Whitted.
Yeah.
Reaching out directly during the playoffs to either complain, which is fine, express their disappointment, or elation. I feel like there's more Hurricanes fans, casual or otherwise. I think there are more Hurricanes fans now than there have ever been. And I'm thrilled for that.
Yeah, Brendan Whitted, he went to his first, first playoff
He went to
hockey
game 2.
So, yeah,
with the Caps. Did he go? No, he went to game 1. He went to the first game, I guess, when Slavin scored.
Yep.
Yeah, no joke. You roll back the clocks 20 years, maybe a little bit more. And I'm not sure we could do what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's been the interest, the love of the team, the franchise has been really good. And Rod Brind'Amour deserves a lot of credit. And even though I have been critical of several mistakes I believe the front office has made, what they are doing, what they have done, they are always trying to win. They'll figure it out, but they are always trying to win. And to that, they are to be credited. For that, they are to be credited.
Yeah.
Should we stretch?
Well, we might have to be giving the Carolina Panthers some credit with the spelling bee.
Oh, no. What happened?
Okay, so this story came from our fearless leader, Paul, in the corner. He let me know about this, and this is amazing. So I read into this. The Scripps National Spelling Bee is going on right now. It actually started yesterday, and it's a 2-night event.
Right.
Now, this spelling bee is just like you're thinking of. I don't know if you've ever watched this particular one. It's fascinating, but it's 2 nights. There were 243 spellers that earned their spots in this national competition, and they advanced through regional spelling bees. Now, the spellers have to compete in 4 segments of this competition to determine who makes it to the finals. Well, there is a young lady who is 14 years old in 8th grade, potentially her last opportunity to be in said spelling bee, and she's in the finals tonight, and the Carolina Panthers are sponsoring her.
Oh, awesome.
So I am hoping for her and the Panthers and Charlotte that we can get a win in something.
Good
so
for
we'll
them.
see how it goes tonight. Like I mentioned, they had the semifinals last night, finals tonight, so you can watch it if you don't want to watch the Oilers and the Stars, but that'll be on so we could cheer on. And I would say her name, but I would
luck.
murder it.
Yeah.
It's like
just say the contestant.
Yes, this young lady from Charlotte. So yes, she also is no stranger to this competition because in 2024 she tied for 22nd place. But look at her go now; she's in the finals. So you never know. I will be rooting for her and my Carolina Panthers. I will also be rooting, hopefully, for our bets tonight.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right. Let's do it. I got one right yesterday. I had the Pacers and I believe the over hit
Oh, there you go.
But I had lost the Canes game, and I lost the. Yeah. Looked like I was good there for a while.
I know.
No good.
You and I both tried that one.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
And I looked good for 60 minutes in the Conference League championship match with Real Betis ahead. Mm-hmm. But Chelsea scored 4 goals in the last 30 minutes plus added time, and that was that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, ugly.
Well.
There you go first.
We do have another hockey game tonight. Like I mentioned, Oilers and the Stars. Give me Ryan Nugent-Hopkins because he's been doing very well for the Oilers, scoring a lot. Also, Draisaitl. I'm not picking him tonight. I'm going to pick Nugent-Hopkins to be an anytime goal scorer. He's plus 300.
Real quick, I'm not going to pick this game yet. I feel like if Edmonton wins, it's going over the 5.5. If Dallas wins, it's going under the 5.5. I am torn by that. But we're going to start with the NBA. Pacers delete the Knicks from the playoffs today. Pacers are actually plus 150 on the road, but give me the Pacers outright under 223.5. That's plus 345.
Nice. Like you mentioned, scoring could go either way, obviously, in this game, but I'm going to lean towards a lot of scoring. So I will say yes. There will be a goal in the first 5 minutes of the first period.
That's 5 minutes.
I know, right? Coming out hot. That is plus 170.
All right. Let's. We're taking Edmonton and over 5.5. That is plus 243.
Yeah. See, that's my last one. I'm taking Edmonton, but they're on the road underdogs. So just taking them outright is about 110. So give me Edmonton.
All right. PSG and Inter Milan in the Champions League championship match. PSG is awesome. We're going to get extra time, though, between PSG and Inter because Inter can score some goals. They're like 30 goals more than the team that finished first in Serie A. So the play is the draw at plus 230, but we're getting extra time, and we all deserve it because that's going to be an amazing match. All right, when we come back, Wall of Sound, you can hear from the head coach, Rod Brind'Amour.
Talking sports, so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/55 to learn more. With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 new lines with autopay for well-qualified customers plus taxes, fees, and $35 per line connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Chargers sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's Bo time.
There's no time like Bo time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned, Cajun-fried, whole breast tenderloin fillets. Choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's Bo time.
You were supposed to get a colon cancer screening, but stuff came up.
We did have to pick up the twins from practice.
But on the way, we hit a giant pothole.
If you are 45 and older, don't let stuff get in the way of your screening. Visit the Colorectal Cancer Alliance at ccalliance.org.
But then...
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it.
That one back, that one going, gone!
Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
I'm excited, and I believe, and I'm glad that no matter what happens here in Game 5, that Game 4 happened, because it changes the mental state, I think, of myself and a lot of other Hurricanes fans. To go into the offseason with existential crisis, existential dread, blow everything up, nothing is working, every nightmare happens over and over again. To not have that is at least a good thing.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. That is Chip Patterson from yesterday. Also, another guy, Hurricanes fan. We talked to Will Brinson about it. All of our regular peeps.
Yeah.
I walk in to the station on a random day. Nick Stevens, managing editor, high school OT. To me, the best high school-centric website in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't have anything to compare it to, but whatever.
But they know their stuff.
They absolutely do. They do an amazing job. I walk in, and Nick's hammering me with questions.
Yeah.
Are we going to get a game? Are we going to get a Game 5? After Game 2, I mean, he's like pulling his hair out.
Yeah.
Are we going to get a Game 5? That was bad last night. He's, I don't know if he has full season tickets, but he's at least a partial season ticket holder. So, yeah, everybody's into it.
Mm-hmm.
Way to go. Way to go, you.
I'm glad people at least support our local team. Because we do have we're peppered. The state's a little peppered.
But we have a lot. Like the college teams are all pro teams to us.
Yeah.
Right? We cover them all.
Yep.
We talk about, whether it's football or basketball, men's or women's basketball. So we cover all of it. Canes have been good copy for the last 7 years, and they'll continue to be that going forward. I am fascinated. This is going to be a wild off season. I said this before. I don't believe that free agency is really in Carolina's future. There's only a handful of bona fide top-end free agents that Carolina would go after. And I think two of them, both play for Florida, named Aaron Ekblad, starting top defenseman, and Sam Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see either of them leaving Florida because that's where they want to be. and Florida has plenty of cap room. Not quite as much as Carolina, but they have plenty of cap room. Also, I believe that Sam Bennett, if he goes to July 1, I believe somebody will offer Sam Bennett $10 million a year.
A lot of money.
Do you know how many times Sam Bennett has been a 60-point producer over the course of his NHL career? A 60-point producer. How many times would Sam Bennett have been that?
I mean,
I'll ask. I'll change the question. How many times has Sam Bennett produced 50 points in a season?
oh gosh, probably most of his years with them. Maybe.
One.
Really?
1 year. Now, in fairness, 21-22 was a shortened. No, that wasn't a shortened season. He had 49 points, 71 games. That might be his, 51 points this year in 76 games. The year before, in the 2021, which is the crazy pandemic Central year, we actually didn't play any games in 20 of that particular season. He had 27 points in 48 games. So it's a little bit more than half of a season. And again, he's about a 45-point guy. But the intangibles of what Sam Bennett means?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Very valuable.
So if he gets to free agency, $10 million might be a little crazy, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Paul Bisnet thinks you should just give him all of it.
But I don't believe, well, yeah. I mean, he's a former player, wants players to get paid.
Exactly.
I do believe, however, that he stays in Florida for 8-ish. That's what I believe, because this is where he wants to be.
Yeah.
Right. He has been a significantly better player in terms of scoring in the playoffs.
Don't have to worry about taxes in that one either.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of discussion about that. Just my two thoughts. I think we overblow that. I'm not saying it's irrelevant, but I think we overblow it. You got Florida, you've got Texas, you've got Nevada, Tennessee, Washington State. I think there's a couple of others that have no state income tax. Is that an advantage? To an extent, yes. But those states haven't become no income tax states overnight. Hasn't been the last 2 years. It's been that way for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas hasn't won a Stanley Cup since 99.
Nope.
Was it 99? I think it was 99. It's been a minute. So I'm not saying it's irrelevant. I don't think it matters as much as the people who complain about it think. I think the bigger reason why people play in certain cities is A, chance to win, which Carolina gives you a chance to win. B, is it a place you would want to spend 8.5 months of your year?
Yeah.
Nobody's saying you have to live here year round. Sebastian Aho goes home to Finland in the summer. So, but from, let's just say, mid-August, theoretically, to mid-June, he lives here. So 10 months. You have to be committing 10 months of your life at a max, 8 months of your life at a minimum, to living in a certain place.
Yeah.
Is this a place you want to live? I mean, I like it here.
Everybody else is moving here.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is true. Except Mikko Rantanen and his
girlfriend.
His girlfriend. But that's, hey, you don't have to.
No.
So,
each their own.
To me, we overplayed the state income tax thing. Again, does it matter to an extent? It does matter to an extent. But I don't think it matters as much as everybody says it does. But Bennett, 2 years ago, when they lost in the Stanley Cup Finals to Vegas. 15 points in 20 games. Last year when they won it, 14 points in 19 games. This year, 16 points in 17 games, including a playoff-leading 10 goals. So during the regular season, Sam Bennett, okay. Playoff Sam Bennett, different animal. Different animal.
It's like the opposite of Austin Matthews.
Wow.
Sorry for catching that stray,
Wow.
Austin Matthews.
Sitting at home in Scottsdale, not knowing what's going on. Like, what is?
Whoa!
Somebody
What
just
is
took a
that?
shot at me. Yeah. Oh, well, he is. He is the opposite of Austin Matthews, and Matthews makes a ton of money. Anyway, that's why Sam Bennett's going to get paid. It ain't because his regular season. His regular seasons are pedestrian in terms of the goal production. But his playoff production, yeah. That's the element. Remember, we talked about it before. There are no friendlies. There are no friendlies. Even during the regular season, there really aren't any friendlies. But there are what we call no-hitters, in that it's just a skating game. In the playoffs, look at the Carolina Hurricanes hit totals in every game in the playoffs. Stunning. They had 48 last night. 48.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's there for every one of them.
I mean, and like just everybody's laying the body. Sam Bennett, whether it's Sam Bennett or somebody like Sam Bennett, that's what the Hurricanes really need.
Oh, yeah.
But he's going to stay in Florida. I believe Aaron Ekblad will stay in Florida. And depending on what those numbers come in at, I wouldn't be shocked if Brad Marchand stayed in Florida.
No? Yeah.
They've got cap room. It would take Bennett and Ekblad taking a little bit less for Marchand to fit, but I wouldn't be shocked if Marchand was there.
No.
I would not be shocked. All right. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Let's take a quick break. That was a great wall of sound.
It was fantastic.
No sound, but when we come back, Rod Brind'Amour from last night after the game. Next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. We're in the offseason, but it doesn't mean me and my co-host, WREL TV's Chris Lee, take a break from our podcast, Panthers Playbook. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on Panthers news as training camp approaches, insights on the rookies, the free agents, and the surprises, plus all the insider info on the upcoming season. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
Support for The Fan comes from Paramount Pictures presenting Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Smart people on every side are close to panicking.
Every choice, every mission has led to this. Tom Cruise is back as Ethan Hunt in his most challenging mission yet.
I need you to trust me one last time.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. See the movie audiences are raving about in theaters and IMAX now. Don't miss your chance to see the movie of the summer.
Every season can be punishing for your roof. Mother Nature is a fierce opponent that doesn't take a break, which is why you need RoofWorks on your building maintenance team. Hi, this is Holly from RoofWorks. We specialize in keeping your commercial roof in great condition no matter what the issue may be. We offer roof inspections, roof repairs, and if needed, a full roof replacement. We help determine if there's a problem with your roof and advise you on the most cost-effective way to handle it. Contact us today at roofworks.com. That's roof, WERKS.com.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update sponsored by Prevagen. Prevagen, made for your brain. A pair of 38-year-old Frenchmen on the men's singles docket at Roland Garros. Richard Gasquet won only 7 games, lost in the second round to top seed Jannik Sinner, who also beat Gasquet in Paris a year ago. This was the last match of Gasquet's career. He played the French Open 22 times. The first was when Sinner was an infant. Here's the world number 1 on Gasquet.
We played against maybe the best era ever in tennis, so incredibly talented player, so amazing to share this moment with him, and obviously I wish him only the best for his new chapter.
Gael Monfils, also 38, came from 2 sets down to win in the opening round today. Monfils will take on 5th-seeded Jack Draper starting shortly. Novak Djokovic has a 2-set lead. A trio of American women move on. Coco Gauff, Jess Pegula, and Madison Keys. With this tennis update, I'm John Stashauer. Westwood One Sports.
David is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Nice to meet you. My name is David. I've been a pharmacist for 44 years, and I'm from Flowery Branch, Georgia. When I first started taking Prevagen, I noticed stuff just seemed to come together and fit like a jigsaw puzzle. When I have customers come in, I recommend Prevagen. Number one, because it's safe and effective, does not require a prescription, and I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I know it works. I wouldn't recommend something like Prevagen if I didn't think it was worth it because it works so good for me. And I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really works so good. Makes my day.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
Testing.
We're live from Chick-fil-A.
This is Grant.
And this is Laura.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that sweet bun.
And that chicken filet was perfectly crispy and soft at the same time.
And that Smokehouse Barbecue sauce, it's a lot of fun. And the brown sugar bacon definitely had a little bit more pizzazz. Also, the Mac, one of the all-time greats. Man, I'm getting hungry.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and our Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
This is Adam Gold.
You know, soap attracts dirt, right? That's what soap does. It attracts dirt. Right now, Bill Belichick is soap. That's what he is.
Yeah.
He's soap.
Yeah.
He's attracting all this dirt.
Or he's like an overripe banana and it's attracting all these gnats.
The Adam Gold Show.
Sorry, I was caught in mid-yawn and eye rub, if you are watching on YouTube. Hi, it's the Adam Gold Show. We've been on YouTube all day long.
Yes.
And we'll be on YouTube for the next 45 minutes as well. Always hit us up here. You can enter your thoughts, your desires in the chat box. We have a little bit more time. We'll take more phone calls later. We can do a rewind. We can take phone calls. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Like, what are they going to do? They're going to kick us out. We're here.
We're sleep deprived. No, it's fine.
Ooh.
Yeah. I love that all the guests on the show, too, have been on the struggle bus.
Everybody.
The same. Everybody.
Like, so I got home at 20 after 2.
Yeah.
Last night. It was 3 before I fell asleep. That might have been the Celsius. I don't know. Stuff works, man. It's not even a joke. And I have barn chores.
Oof. So you took a nap.
I was up at 6.
Yeah, it's a nap.
But then I took a nap after that, and that's where I slept through everything. I got a good 2 hours of sleep.
Oh, there you go. See, sometimes the shorter chunks are better, though.
In an uncomfortable position, but I got it. Anyway, nobody cares. It's fine. I barely care. All right, let's... This is from last night after the game. Rod Brind'Amour in the final post-game press conference of 2025.
Rod, you've talked about, and you guys have tried to get a superstar player the past few seasons. Is there at least a little solace in the fact that you got, Barkov, you get to be on a play that, one of the best guys in the game?
Yeah, not really. I mean, he made a great play. A lot of their goals are some really nice plays, good finish. They're a great team, and it's obvious. Last couple of years, I think they're the standard, obviously. And I thought our guys battled really hard all series. But you're right, they got some guys that can finish.
Rod, that 4 or 5 minute stretch in the second period, what happened there for you?
Well, the game was going, I thought we couldn't have done much better. And then, taking those one penalty, and they score on that. It's a little floater, nice tip, but it's all of a sudden that just kind of got them going, momentum. And then a couple of errors that we made on coverage, and they gave him a little room. They put him in the net, and we fought back, tied it up, and then the best player made a league play.
Front right.
Rod, this time of the playoffs, you talk about there not being much space out there, and guys have to step up. You talk about Sebastian Aho, 2 important goals there that kind of dragged you into it.
I mean, we were playing pretty well. Obviously those goals were great individual efforts too. He's going to get eaten himself up over the summer because he let that one go, and it's not like we were surprised by it. That play they run every time, and you got to beat him to the net. So that's going to be a tough one for him. But he was great tonight.
Left side, second row.
Rod, and you hate to live with regret, but the way you guys played these last 2 games versus how you played in the first 3, do you have some regret on how those games went? Maybe at least game 2 for sure.
Yeah, 2 was a tough one. 1 was fine. I mean, the score looked bad, and everyone talked about, we actually were really good in game 1. And then the last couple of games, I thought we were good too. So I think there's another level. Like I said, I think we came off a real hard series, physical series, and then all of a sudden it went another level, and it took us a little time to kind of adapt to it. And I thought we did. I thought we were good. It's just you can't give these guys a 3-0 lead and expect to come back. It's a big hole.
Back right.
Ron, I'm just wondering, you've had unwavering belief in the way you guys play, in the style of game. With the results being what they are over the last few years after successful first couple rounds and it ends up this way again, do you think at all it requires some level of change in terms of the way you guys play throughout an entire season and into the playoffs?
Like what? What do you recommend?
I just mean style of play. I'm not making recommendations.
How do you think they play? They're the standard now. And I see out, in, forecheck, hard, wait for your chance, try to capitalize. I mean, it's hard hockey. If anything, we got to figure out how to get that much to our game. But that's the standard right there. And, I feel like that's been our game for a long time. They've kind of picked it up the last couple of years and made it that much better. So that's what we got to get.
Take a few more for Rod, left side, second row.
Rod, you guys were really physical in the first period. It seemed to wane a little bit as the second period went on. Was that them skating?
What was that, getting that momentum?
Yeah.
It was a backbreaker, I think, when they got that little run and then got another one. You could just feel it's just natural. The building, everything, kind of sucked a little bit of life out of us.
Left side, third row.
Rod, given all the turnover in the offseason and all the changes, how do you measure the disappointment of falling short with the achievement of getting to this stage?
Thank you. Everybody seems to, it's the craziest thing that we're this far, and it's all over here is negativity from everybody. And when I walked this summer and with the pieces that were left this organization, I was like, I don't think we're making playoffs. I was that worried about it because it was such a mass exodus of good players to free agency. And then we were able to find good players to fill in. And then I was like, I don't know if they're that good, but they hung in there. So I got nothing but pride with this group. And, we didn't love how this kind of went this series. But, again, that's the standard right there. You're not giving Florida enough credit.
Right side, front row.
Coach, Rod, to follow up on that, after the trade deadline, just to see guys like Mark Jankowski, Logan Stankoven, and your core group really rally together. I know it's short of where you wanted to be, but just how proud of you, just the effort you guys had and buying in after everything.
All the guys, I'm watching 40-year-old Brent Burns out here playing, I don't know how many minutes he played tonight, but, and we got 2 rookies back there, and we got 4 in the lineup. I don't think that's, that's a lot to ask, and we were hanging right in there. So I think there's a lot to be positive about. The guys you mentioned that we brought in that adapted and were big parts of it, and a lot of these are young guys, so it looks good for moving forward.
Right side, second row.
Ryan, you talk about positivity. The one big thing with Seth Jarvis, you lead the way in the regular season, probably your best player, and then even in the playoffs too, over a point per game. What can you say about his game just jumping up to another level in his senior year in the league? To lead in the regular season.
Can't say enough about him. He does everything for us, and he just keeps getting better and better. And this big, heavy series, and he didn't shy away. He was right in the mix, and when those are a lot of our maybe smaller guys are tough. Like they get it, and they're big parts of the group, and they will be moving forward. So that's a huge positive, and obviously he's at the top of that list.
Take 2 more questions. Left side, front row.
How hard was it to fold in those guys that you were kind of forced to have to put in, the Moros, the Nikishins?
Well, that's tougher than people can realize. It just puts so much stress on the other guys. They did fine. They did fine. But that's obviously not ideal at this stage of the season to throw new guys in plus our rookies on defense. That's just hard. But they did really well. Give them credit.
Last one, left side.
Sebastian kind of talked about they like the chances they got on the power play. They like what they were getting, but how frustrating is it just to go 0-6 in these key moments? Especially?
Yeah, that's the killer. Even the first one was great. We had a couple good looks. Blaker's all alone in front, and then even the last one, especially, is right there. Those guys to find a way to get in the net. So yeah, that's definitely, when you look back on this game, that'll be a couple lost moments there for sure. But it's done now.
You can tell, man, he's balancing a lot of things there. You heard Josh Graham's question, which is, how do you measure the disappointment of losing the series? Essentially, with the roster transition and lower expectations. It was a really, really well asked question. So that's why Josh is making sure everybody knows it's him. He's proud of it.
Quote tweeting.
And he should be.
Yes.
He should be. It's fine. I actually reached out and told him that. It's a great, really good question. But you heard the question about changing the system. And look, you can tell when somebody is working on a story about, can this system work? The one thing that Carolina does that is changeable without impacting their system is moving away from strict man-to-man defensive strategy. That they play a fierce man-to-man defense in the opposing team's attacking zone. And I was watching some of the coverage last night in video clips. And I think it was Rick Bowness, who was a former head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, by the way, among other places. I believe he coached Buffalo, might have coached Dallas too. And Bowness said, here is where when you play man-to-man defense, you can get caught, right? Because you're taught to stay with your man. But, he said, if you get beat, now it's an odd man situation. Or where Carolina had 2 players go to 1, and they actually got beat on this twice. It's one thing to give up the power play goal to make it 2-1. But Carolina got scored on the next shift. And here's where 2-on-1 defending hurt the Hurricanes. 1, Alexander Nikishin wasn't hard enough on Matthew Tkachuk. 2, Jordan Martinook should have just let Nikishin handle it and got in the passing lane to prevent Evan Rodriguez from getting a step down the lane. Instead, Martinook goes to the wall, tries to further defend Tkachuk, isn't successful. Nikishin is late getting back with Evan Rodriguez, and that's where Tkachuk passes to Bennett, passes to Rodriguez at the front of the net, and all of a sudden it's 2-2. And Florida is feeling it. Feeling it. 4 minutes later, basically, the game was the other way. Florida had a lead.
Yeah.
So it was helpful to listen to that, but the reality is that Carolina simply needs better players, and that sounds harsh because we really like all of these guys.
Yeah.
Right. I like Jankowski. I like Eric Robinson.
Yeah.
Logan Stankoven ain't going anywhere.
Nope.
Right. There are a lot of good players on that group, but they need to get bigger and meaner and more productive among the forwards that are supposed to score. I'm not talking about Stahl and Martinook and whomever they put with him, and it was Stankoven in the playoffs, and it might be Stankoven or Jarvis going forward for stretches, but ultimately you want your best players to be with players who score.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily a job requirement for Jordan Stahl and Jordan Martinook. They're asked to do other things. So, tons to do. That was Rod Brind'Amour. We will hear from Seth Jarvis coming back in a little bit. We'll also have a rewind. But when we return, very quickly, because this has been entirely about the Hurricanes, and we can take phone calls again, 919-860-5326, 919-860-5326. The NCAA said something today. Their management council, whatever it is, they met today, and they did say emphatically that they were going to do this, and we'll tell you what this is next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Greensboro this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 20 different sports. The Body Armor State Games feature 11,000 athletes and 600 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. That's bodyarmorstategames.org. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Lowe's Foods, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina. During the sports season, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling to and from athletic events. Wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. Prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. Remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message is brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
Have you ever heard of paramedics who don't just respond to emergencies, but work to prevent them? The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. Cape Fear Valley Health's Community Paramedic Program is a groundbreaking initiative where paramedics aren't just transporting patients, they're building bridges to better care, right from the patient's living room. Here's Cape Fear's Alinda Bailey.
We're not just asking, what's your medical emergency? We're asking, do you have problems obtaining your medicines? Can you get to your appointments? Are you safe? Are you supported? We try to identify not only the medical needs, the mental health needs, but also the social determinants that play a factor in the care of our patients and clients.
Join our latest conversations on the state of healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The Extra Help and Medicare savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
Imagine a school where you could study AI and Ancient Egypt, become a National Honor Student, join a cooking club, or code the next big video game, and do it all in a comfortable space. Your own home. Welcome to NC Cyber Academy, a K-12 tuition-free virtual charter school that provides you with a flexible, personalized education designed to prepare you for college and a career. Visit myncca.com and discover a learning experience that works for you, your family, and your future.
This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth. Why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it in Finnish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's why.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. We'll rewind it a little bit. We will take phone calls as well. And you will hear from Seth Jarvis from after last night's game. By the way, the phone number, 860-5FAN, 860-5326. A nice little change for us. We don't do this often. We did do it the day, I don't think you were here, the day after the Washington series came to an end.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
I was in Florida.
Yeah, I think it might have been it was either Max or Graham
Yeah.
who handled that, and we did what we did. But now I think there's a little bit more anger's not the right word, because I don't think anybody should be angry at what we saw. You're angry if the team doesn't try hard. And even the game where they got blitzed in the third period, I'm not a fan of using the Q word. I'm just not. I don't think the Hurricanes quit. I think sometimes when it's going against you and it happens quickly, you get discouraged. Quit, not really the right word. Maybe that's a euphemism. I don't know. 919-860-5326. Jeff from Raleigh. Jeff, what's going on?
Hey, I'm from Raleigh, by the way. The Bronx, been following ice hockey since 1957. It was such a pleasure
57
talking to Victoria.
Yes.
And what we were talking about basically was that Rob Brind'Amour is such a tremendous guy. I wish he was the president of the United States. That's how good he is, because opening day, they gave him the greatest celebration of an athlete since I've been alive was when the Yankees celebrated Mickey Mantle, and if it was up to them, they'd still be cheering.
Yes.
And opening night, when they cheered for Rod,
yeah,
they would have cheered like they were yelling harder than last night. And after like 7 seconds, he's so humble, he had his head down and he picked up his fingers to let him know stop.
Yeah, it's
And he is so great. He is so great that without him, I don't know if they get 80 points. I was telling Victoria.
Yeah, I mean, I think exaggerating is fine. I think they'd be. I still think they would challenge for a playoff spot. It's a good team, but I think you're right in large part about Rod. Certainly the way fans feel about him. He is a great coach. The consistency is what makes Rod great. The belief that the players have in him. By the way, they re-released the Sebastian Aho Players Tribune article. If anybody hasn't read it. He spends a long time talking about his respect for Brind'Amour as a coach. And I've said this before, Rod is a coach, but he is, in his mind, he's still a player.
Right, he's phenomenal.
Oh, my gosh. And I've seen him, he's lifting in the gym as though he is training to play. It is remarkable at age 50, but you're right also about the way
Correct.
the Lenovo Center crowd treats him. Yes, he is.
And one of the things that I wanted to say, because I'm more of a fan, believe it or not, I coached for many years. I worked for the Yankees, the Mets, the Rangers, the Knicks, and one of the most famous things about sports where this congratulatory, when we used to play when we were kids, 60% of the time you went home, 20% of the time you hugged the guys after the game like they were your best friends, and 20% of the times it ended in a fight. And what's amazing is that the body language between both teams, which was remarkable, usually I think it was like 1962 or 63, the Maple Leafs won a Stanley Cup 7th game, and Bobby Bourne played the game with a broken leg, and he had blood all over his face. And the admiration that they had for the teams, they stayed there like half an hour talking and hugging guys.
Yeah.
After last night's game was the fastest I ever saw. No guy hugged each other. There was one guy I think the guy from Russia stopped and said hello to Bobrovsky, but they got off there, and I was telling Victoria, if you watch Florida, they really play over the line.
Yeah, that's their style.
Yeah, they really play over the line, and what killed us, and you mentioned it with losing the two defensemen from last year, Brady Shea and
Brett Pesce.
And Pesce. If you really know hockey, the Hurricanes, their defense is other than Slavin, their defense is pretty weak, and they make a lot of mistakes. And boy, did they miss Chatfield, and they even missed Walker.
There's no question that they missed those two guys. I was looking for the handshake line as well. Jeff, I appreciate the call very much. I like, me, I'm a sucker for the handshake line. When we do the forensics on the season and the playoffs, I'm not sure that my biggest takeaway still won't be the handshake line from Carolina, New Jersey. I mean, to see that.
Oh, yeah.
But these two teams don't like each other. No. Carolina and Florida do not like each other. Now, does Aho have friendships with several players on that team? Yeah, because you saw when Aho stopped against Barkov, that was a longer, that lingered more. Mm-hmm. Lundell lingered more. Mikkola lingered more. I'm sure that a lot of these guys, I'm not saying that everybody in Finland knows everybody and they all hang out, but I'm sure that there are workout groups. Aho doesn't skate by himself, right? I'm sure that there are a bunch of players from around the league.
It makes sense.
That all work out together. So some of these guys, especially countrymen, have a little bit of an extra camaraderie in that regard. Sawyer, either in Chicago or from Chicago, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Well.
I'm doing, yeah. So I'm actually in Chicago, but from Charlotte, so diehard Canes fan. And I actually called this show around this time last year after the tragic ending to the Rangers after Game 6. And I asked a question about Svechnikov. And you said that Svechnikov needs to become this team's version of Chris Kreider.
Yes.
And I was wondering, can you do the same thing to Nikishin? Do you think Nikishin needs to become a player more like an Ekblad, or do we need Nikishin to hopefully develop into more of a Norris candidate like a Werenski, McAvoy, Hughes? What do you think about that?
First of all, let's grade Andrei Svechnikov. Did he become a Chris Kreider?
In the playoffs, I think that he definitely made that argument, especially in the first two rounds.
He got closer.
But when he got closer, but when we really needed him the most last night, did he have like a Chris Kreider Game 6 moment where he pulled out a hat trick? No.
No.
At the same time,
I thought he played well last night. I didn't think it was a great series for him. I thought Game 2 was a disaster for him. but I thought the last 3 games, I thought he was much better and much closer to what they needed. I thought he was a very good player last night. He was one of my 3 stars. I've got to do 3 Hurricane stars and a player of the game, and he was one of my 3 stars. That whole line got stars from me. Who does Nikishin have to be? I'm trying to pigeonhole a player type, but I think Alexander Nikishin needs to be a minutes eater. He's got to be willing to play 22, 23 minutes a night, much like Jacob Slavin. They're both left side defensemen, so they're not going to play together. But Nikishin's going to have to be somebody you rely on for a lot. I think he does need to have an offensive part of his game, and he needs to play a mean game. Whether that translates into being a Norris Trophy candidate, I don't know. I can say this about Alexander Nikishin. He'll never be a better defenseman than the guy playing in front of him. Slavin is that good. At some point, the rest of the league will stop relying on scoring points to determine who wins the Norris Trophy. And when they get out of that pit, then they'll realize that there is no better defenseman than Jacob Slavin. With that said, you want him to play. Here's what's interesting. I don't think Dion Phaneuf was ever the offensive player that he might have, ultimately become. But some of me wants Nikishin to play with that mean attitude with a little bit higher level of talent. Dion Phaneuf was a mean SOB. And I think Nikishin can play a mean game. It doesn't have to be quite that nasty, but I think there needs to be an element of nastiness to his game that he brings out. It's something you only bring out when you need it. But I think the scoring will be there because I think he's going to run your power play. If not next year, then the year after. So,
okay.
Thanks, Sawyer.
Thank you.
Enjoy Chicago. All right, let's go to the locker room. This is from last night. Seth Jarvis after the game.
Yeah, a little bit. I think those first 2 games you'd probably want back, but it's too little too late, and that's kind of the result of it.
The power play tonight, is anything you can point to?
I thought we had looks. We had a couple bobble pucks, but for the most part, I didn't hate how we were looking. I think we were near the end. I think we got a little more urgent, obviously, and started putting more pucks in that. We maybe could have done that a little bit earlier, but obviously you can just score in games like this. They did, and we didn't, and that's kind of the result of it.
That 4.5-minute stretch there where they score 3 goals is kind of tough, but you guys were able to, you with your goal, claw back into it. But how tough is it, especially the way the series have been going?
Yeah, never want that to happen. And like you said, it was a tough 4-minute stretch. I thought we responded well. Giving up 3 goals that quickly, it's tough for any team to kind of come back from that.
When you look at Florida, is there something about them that has allowed them to succeed in the playoffs where maybe you guys have come up against you?
The power play is good. Their special teams excel well. They can play different styles of games. They're a good team over there. They make adjustments well, and I think we got some stuff we got to learn from.
Obviously, Stanley Cup's what you guys shoot for. Did this team overachieve this year, do you think?
No, we didn't get near what we planned on. Our goal is always to be the last team standing, no matter who we have on the ice, and we had that confidence in ourselves all year. And that's why it sucks. It's the hardest trophy to win, and when you're feeling like this, you wish you could go back in time, but you can't, and now you got to sit on it for a whole summer.
All right, that's Seth Jarvis. Again, I didn't think it was a great play. I know he led Carolina in scoring, but I didn't think it was a great playoffs for him. But I'm not sure any of Carolina's forwards were great in the playoffs. Maybe Logan Stankoven was great in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But Jarvis was certainly a good player, just like Aho was a good player. Scored 4 goals in the series. 1 off a skate, 1 an empty netter. But the 2 goals last night really, not that should have been enough for Carolina to win, but he put Carolina in a great spot, and they just didn't back it up. He was culpable on the 3rd goal, and he also had an opportunity, albeit super quick opportunity, on a rebound try of the Andrei Svechnikov miss late into the game. Before we rewind, I mentioned that the NCAA is ready to do something, and this might happen as soon as next year, according to what I've read. They are going to expand the NCAA men's basketball tournament. In general, the women's tournament lags behind a little bit. At this stage, I'm not sure why you would treat the two differently, but they do, because the women's tournament is becoming super popular. Not to mention the game is much deeper than it's ever been. But they are going to either 72 or 76 teams, and it looks like they might even get there for this upcoming season. They are legitimately discussing this being implied, or whatever I was trying to say, for 2026. 72 or 76 teams. I mean, what do you say? We certainly don't have teams left out that should otherwise go, but all we're doing here, and they can say whatever it is they want, and I have not read any quotes from today, other than the quotes about moving to 72 or 76. There is no way anybody can convince anybody that follows college basketball that we leave out anywhere from 4 to or 6 to 10 teams that otherwise belong in the field. There is zero chance that we are leaving out deserving teams. The important part of that conversation always is that there are some undeserving teams that are allowed in. And it's really just deciding which team is less deserving. Those are the teams that get in, and the teams that are really less deserving, they get left out. So now we are going to move that line further to the bottom. Just saying. They're going to say all of these, well, we're leaving out a lot of good teams. No, you're not. No, you are not.
Quite the opposite.
But, again, the NCAA and the power leagues, I mean, bless their hearts, they just know that the general public doesn't really care. They just want to watch their school make the tournament, or their school make a bowl game, or their school make a playoff. They don't care. They will lie because, whatever.
Benefits them.
The people will buy it. No, yeah, that's what they do. It is unfortunate, but that's what they do. All right, let's do a quick rewind. All right, I asked Cory Lavalette how he viewed what transpired this season with the Hurricanes.
It was kind of a weird year. I didn't feel like it was maybe as cohesive as the last couple seasons. There were more ups and downs, I would say. I guess that comes with the transition they had this year, the turnover of players, the new additions. But at the end of the day, you reach the conference finals. You obviously want to do more than that if you're the Hurricanes, but you can't say this is a failure of a season, because I think, and Rod alluded to it last night, the expectations weren't as high this year as they have been. And they, even if they didn't get further than they have, they did exceed them, I think. Especially going through everything they went through with the Mikko Rantanen stuff and and all that.
All right, so here's the way I look at the season. Based on the personnel losses in the offseason, thought it was reasonable to everybody understood it. Look, Rod said it in the preseason. Our roster's not as good as it was last year. We have good players and enough of them to compete, but our roster's not as good. And I mentioned that the real problem for Carolina was going to make up for the absence of Brady Shea and Brett Pesce. If you needed a primer on why Brett Pesce was so important, go back and watch the Devils series, because if it were not for 22, that is an absolute obliteration of New Jersey.
It would have ended way sooner.
And it only lasted 5.
Yeah.
I would argue that Brett Pesce was the best player in the series for either team, and his team lost 4-1. He was awesome. And Shea, Nashville had such a tough year, it's hard to even say, and we only saw them 2 games, right? But we know what Brady Shea was here, and we know what Brett Pesce was here. To eliminate that from your lineup, to understand that Brent Burns was slipping now in his 3rd year with Carolina, certainly from what he was in year 1, but yes, even in year 2. And I say that knowing that Brent Burns had a much better year than people believe. Do you realize that in terms of shorthanded minutes, Brent Burns was on the ice for the fewest shorthanded goals by a lot than anybody else. I'm not saying he's the best penalty killer. What I'm saying is he was an elite part of an elite penalty kill. He is amazing at it. And he showed, by the way, he was excellent in that regard yesterday. But Shea and Pesce replacing those 2 guys was never going to happen. And they didn't really replace them. They brought in 2 different players. But that wasn't going to be enough. But with the personnel losses, the deadline dealing, the attempt with Mikko Rantanen, rallying to get Stankoven out of that deal, Mark Jankowski, Taylor Hall, the one thing I think they erred in, the one element they definitely made a mistake in, was not bringing in NHL defensemen at the trade deadline. That's the only area I think as a front office they made a mistake in this year. We'll see if they ever do that in the future years, but that to me is where the only mistake they made. Victoria, thank you very much. See everybody next time.
From the heels,
touchdown Carolina,
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous